Welcome everybody to the first ever episode of If Object Show Contestants Were Charged for Their Crimes, the series where I'll explore the crimes of various contestants. Before we start, I would like to kindly remind you all to subscribe with notifications on, as it would be much appreciated. Contestant 1, Blocky from BFDI. Yes, I know, he's the obvious first pick for this series, but can you really blame me? The man's a total criminal. Let's count the ways. In the very first episode, Blocky attempts to pop Bubble by using Pin, which right off the bat is a clear attempted murder charge. As I've expected, we are starting off big with this one. There's also a second attempted murder charge when Blocky throws Needle at Bubble, and then he kicks Woody into the stratosphere as well. In the second part of the same episode, he kills Bubble for real this time, doing so by running right up to her and then kicking her to pop her. During the boating challenge in the same episode, Blocky uses Match as an oar and forgets to take her up out of the water to let her breathe. I think this could potentially be counted as a reckless endangerment charge, since she could indeed have drowned if he kept this up. One of Blocky's most famous personality aspects is his prank show, Blocky's Funny Doings International. The first instance of this show sees him kill Bubble, and put thumbtacks into a recovery center that cause her to pop infinitely. And he takes joy in it. What a psychopath! Since her dying multiple times could arguably count as mass murder, I think that is going to be what I count it as. In episode 3, while the announcer has his back turned, Blocky steals the test answers. The cheating isn't a crime, I don't think, but this can be counted as petit larceny, as it was taken directly from the announcer, but was probably only worth under $5. Once again, in BFDI 3, in an attempt to put out the fire that Pencil and Match had accidentally started, he throws Ice Cube into the fire 5 times total, none of which succeeded in putting out the fire. In episode 8, he starts up his second prank, attaching Ice Cube's recovery center to a tree that is next to a cliff. When she gets recovered, she'll fall out of the recovery center over the edge of the cliff, then get recovered again, and repeating the process. It also gets Pencil and Match at the beginning of episode 9. When Blocky rejoins in episode 9, he slaps the announcer as a result of the announcer calling him stabbable. In the first challenge for episode 10, Blocky reaches into the Squishy Cherries' tub and grabs Fiery, who he then uses to melt Ice Cube to try to fill his own team's tub. Another second-degree murder, specifically of Ice Cube once again. During the skiing segment of the same episode, Blocky pops Bubble again, but this time it was by accident, so it's only an involuntary manslaughter charge for this one. In Lofty, Blocky is basically responsible for igniting Bommy. You see, he is the one who pops Fiery's balloon, and Fiery falls onto Bommy and ignited his fuse. It then kills Fiery along with 4 other contestants, so I'll call this 6 more counts of involuntary manslaughter, which is involuntary manslaughter since he likely didn't know Bommy was down there. In episode 12, when Bubble was about to turn her red ball in, Blocky once again kills her so that he can turn the ball in instead. In BFDI 17, we get to see Blocky's third prank, suspending Fiery's recovery center above a lake, which results in him dying a bunch of times. I am going to once again count this as a mass murder. As his final crime in Season 1, it is also his 4th prank. In BFDI 24, he sets up a trampoline outside of the announcer's recovery center, and on the trampoline is Spongy, who is bouncing on it and crushing the announcer each time he gets recovered. His criminal record then has a notable 6-year gap, with the next occurring in BFB 1. In anger from being managed, he ends up murdering both tennis ball and golf ball, which nets him 2 additional second-degree murder charges. During Death Pact's Cake at Stake in BFB 5, we hear Bubble get popped off screen, and a little bit later, we see Blocky knocked to the ground. We can only assume that this means he may have done it by using Pin like how he tried to in BFDI 1, and she kicked at him to get away from him again. In BFB 9, I think Blocky throwing tennis ball and basketball into his team's basket could count as 2 counts of assault, since they clearly didn't want to be thrown. During BFB 15, in an attempt to win the challenge, Blocky launches himself into Puffball. He also knocks Foldy off of her at one point. The Puffball finally launches him to the picnic tables that somehow didn't burn from the lava. There comes yet another assault charge in the first episode after the split, when Blocky kicks Woody into the stratosphere after declining to help bring back X initially. Instead of actual assault, the next crime is just a threat of one, when he holds a gigantic pair of scissors that I have no idea how or where he stored them, over Ruby in a menacing way. BFB 19 sees Blocky kick Woody into the air again, and this time, Woody falls into a fire and dies. Even though Ruby is the one who started the fire by accident, Woody would not have landed there if Blocky hadn't kicked him. Also in BFB 19, he gets his own team killed by flying too close to the sun, Icarus style. Doing it to himself doesn't count, and Fiery didn't die, so that means he gets 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. In BFB 21, as a result of their loss in the challenge, Blocky threatens to attack Woody. The only reason he doesn't is because Bubble and Lollipop tell him that he shouldn't. In BFB 22, he commits perjury 2 separate times. This causes Blocky's Funny Doings International to get shut down, though the real punishment would be significantly less than 2,763 years. Impersonation, which he does by pretending to be a grape, also gets a separate punishment for him, and it's a Class 6 felony, which can be up to 5 years and a $2,500 fine. In BFB 24, he prepares Woody to take over his show by having him destroy Flower's merchandise, which could be considered incitement. I think that's all of his crimes. Let's see the crime scroll now. All of that together, in the end, adds up to a total of 4 death penalties, 12 life sentences, 176 additional years in prison on top of that, and a fine of $262,500 US. Thank you all for watching.